Reaching the end game for a lot of players is their end goal. And it can be a tough time, especially when you make mistakes along the way. So in this video, we're going to cover 3 big mistakes that are holding you back from reaching the end game. So let's get into it. The first mistake that you're likely making, which is holding you back from the end game, is your impatience. And what impatience does is it creates blind spots in your gameplay. I've said this in my previous video, which I should suggest you check out, but I mentioned that enemy patterns are really important, and not recognizing them can really hinder your overall growth and your progress through the game. As you progress through the game, the difficulty will only get harder, and endgame is going to be no different. In fact, it's going to really test you in more ways than you think. And so just getting there, just for the sake of being there, is not really the best attitude to approach it with. Also, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't get in the habit of comparing yourself to, let's say, a friend or a YouTuber who, you see them getting millions of damage and you think, oh, but I want to get to that point. But it's important to understand that there are outliers, and outliers are not necessarily the most realistic perspective to really analyze the game from. And so don't let that get in your head. Your impatience is what's causing you to make more mistakes, especially when it comes to beating bosses like Jamnara or Viper, or just anyone to get to the end game. So it's really important that you be patient with yourself and really come to understand how the game functions, how the enemies are behaving in accordance to how you're behaving. Because the reason why you're losing is just because maybe you're face tanking too much, your timing is off, and that all correlates back to impatience. You're trying to fast forward things when you should be slowing down and being more critical with regards to your thinking and decision making. So that being said, let's move on to the second point. The second big mistake that's holding you back from reaching the end game is most likely the build itself. Perhaps it's poor in some areas and it's inconsistent and needs some work. So how do we go about making this build better, or at least making your build better? Well, for one, it's really integral to look at your class and what it excels at. It isn't about just picking random nodes in hopes that it's going to help you get to where you want to be. You have to be really specific and intentional with what you are deciding on. So in the case of Kitava, it's more of a tankier build. Warrior is more tankier. It's all about sustaining damage, but also dishing out damage as a result of surviving. So things like energy shield, armor, life regen, resistances, these are going to really help you survive for much longer periods of time, but also it's going to help you to do more damage if you can burst through enemies' resistances. And then of course you want to tie that in with extra damage, melee damage, attack speed. These are things that you want to be taking note of when you are build crafting, is where does my class excel at? In this case, as I mentioned, looking at energy shield, mana regen, making sure that your attack speed is sufficient. Also spell damage if you're going for more spells in that case too. But for the most part, you want to be looking at your class and thinking, okay, how is this going to help me survive? But also, how is it going to help me to do more damage over the long term? So let's take a look really quickly at a build that I am making currently, and that is the Chayula build. And the reason why I've chosen Chayula is because, for one, I like the monk class. It's very fun, very combo centric, very momentum based. And Chayula is cool because it takes full advantage of mana leeching, which is something I really, really like. So building around mana leech is going to be integral to making this build shine. So you want to be looking at nodes like mana leeching, increasing the amount of mana that you get per kill, but also I have to remember that this is about survival. So I want to be building into energy shield, my evasion, getting some more crit damage in there so that way my damage is higher. But most importantly, I have to look at what is it that I'm trying to actually achieve. what damage do I want to do? Do I want to do more physical damage? Do I want to do more elemental damage? And then even deeper than that, do I want to do fire damage, cold damage, poison, bleed? These things you have to specify in your mind before going into a build. And so for me, I've chosen fire and ice, as it kind of correlates to that of the monk, where it's all about light and dark, yin and yang, with chaos in there as well to kind of balance things out. So I've chosen abilities that are going to help me to A, sustain with regards to my damage. I've got stun with staggering palm. I've got killing palm to finish off enemies sufficiently. Mantra of destruction here for chaos damage. Wind blast for controlling enemies. Vaulting impact for momentum and stun. Ghost dance for more defense. Ice strike for more offense, and bone storm of course again for that offense. So it's all about combining offense and defense as you go, and not just randomly picking different things and putting them together. You have to be intentional, and that also ties into things like your gems. Like, why is Jagged Ground going to be efficient with Vaulting Impact? Why is Frost Nexus good for Ice Strike? These are questions you should ask yourself as you're building, and the more you come to understand the whys, it's going to be really, really helpful to make your build that much stronger and consistent over the term. I'll make a longer video with regards to how to build craft, so look forward to that in the future. But for now, to keep things short and sweet, that is pretty much the gist of it. So for now, let's move on. The last and likely biggest mistake that's holding you back from reaching the end game is that you're just throwing away your materials. You're wasting resources, and before you even get to end game, you have little to no currency. You've wasted it all on unnecessary things. Maybe you're spending too much on buying too many weapons, or because you lack a foundation in your build, you've thrown away your currency on different parts of the skill tree that are really unnecessary, that don't really help to sustain you. And so now you go into the end game with nothing to work with, and that can really cripple you, because as you hit the end game, the first 3 to 5 tiers are going to test you. And if you don't have the resources necessary to really improve and refine your build, it's only going to make your life much, much harder. So it's important that you stay focused. And the best way to stay focused is to pick up a premium supplement from advanced.gg. They focus primarily on providing the best resource for keeping you mentally in shape, whether you are a pro gamer, an athlete, or you just want to grind out in PoE 2. They have all supplements there for you. Energy, focus, hydration, sleep, you name it, they got you covered. So if that's interesting to you and you want to really take full advantage, then go to advanced.gg's website and use my code NEWENERGY10 at checkout to save yourself 10% off your next purchase. So to wrap things up, overall, make sure that you have your resources in check and really be mindful of your purchase habits, because if you are really poor in your habits in terms of your spending, endgame is not going to be very forgiving, and we don't want that. We want you to find success, so that way you can find great joy in the endgame experience. So that being said, folks, thank you so much for being here in this video. I hope it's been helpful. New warriors, as always, stay strong, keep fighting, and may the force be with you all always. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Watch me live on Twitch and ask me questions there. Until next time, take care.